there should be more visibility into like this space of like financial services, I guess, like community support, community capital support. There's not enough storytelling, and I'm glad that y'all are doing this, and we hope to also do the same and bolster the work that you're doing in every facet. So.
Buenos dias, Leo.
Buenos dias, Mayra.
Thanks for joining me today for some coffee.
I'm so excited to be here. I actually have some chai tea. It's my third drink of the day, so, switch over to tea.
Oh my goodness, 9 a.m.? It's your third drink.
I'm on East Coast hours today.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks for joining us all the way from the East Coast.
So happy to be here. I was like, I cannot pass up the opportunity to meet y'all in the studio, which I don't know how much the audience will see, but it's pretty incredible. So, yeah.
Let's have you introduce yourself.
My name is Leo Pena. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO at Presta. I can give you a ton more about myself, but I keep it brief there.
I will go into detail in a bit. Well, tell us about your role at Presta and how you support the community, especially the small business community.
Yeah, so a little bit more about us too for context. So Presta is digital lending infrastructure. So we support community-focused lenders in their work to lend to small and medium-sized businesses and folks who are traditionally underserved by financial institutions. A lot of what I do is, which is an interesting reflection that we can get in on how my role has changed as you transition from like an individual contributor to someone who's in leadership. A lot of it is finding amazing people to work with, both at Presta and outside of Presta. So how do we find the right partners, TMC being one of those? How to set the vision about where we're going. And that's a lot of listening to people in the space, getting to hear, hey, where do you see CDFIs going in 5 years? Where do you see the changes in community-focused lending going? And then giving everyone the right resources to do that. So whether it's like going through the effort of finding a podcast production company for our marketing team, or interviewing a bunch of vendors for our software team or our product team, make sure they have the right tools. So it's a lot of filling in gaps, which is fun for me.
Nice. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into that space?
Yeah, I'll give you more of me as a human too, so people know who I am. Originally from Venezuela. I was born in Caracas, lived there for 7 years. Then moved to Puerto Rico, lived there for 7. Moved to California, went to school in upstate New York, and that was the first time I ever saw snow. And then started my career in the government tech space. I moved to Cleveland, Ohio through a fellowship called Venture for America, and worked at an early stage company trying to make it so people could access democracy from across the globe. In other words, vote online. It was an incredible experience. It was my first time building regulated systems, so having to make sure that things are secure for all of this access. And it was an incredible foray into building, right? Did that for a few election cycles, got exhausted, took a break. And during that break, I got to re-meet Peter, my co-founder. At that time, he had left his current job to start a company called the Opportunity Exchange. And that was an equity investment marketplace for economic development projects, which is a mouthful. But in other words, allowing people to invest in the kind of things that make cities what they are. Things like multi-use buildings, affordable housing, restaurant incubators. And we ran that company for 3.5 years up until now 2 years ago. It was acquired March of 2022. And from that, decided to build Presta. So that's us. Outside of work, I spend a lot of time with my dog and eating food. So that's me.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Shout out to Peter.
I love Peter so much.
Yeah, we all love Peter. And of course, too, Leo. But what sets Presta apart from other other platforms for lenders?
I think this always feels a little silly when I say it, but we spend a lot of time listening. And I think part of it arises from Peter's demeanor. So credit to him in that. And a lot of my focus in how you should build, which is understand why people do what they do, how they do what they do, and what are the hard parts on it. And I think that has led us to build quite good product and really deep relationships with the lenders that we work with. So I think that's our biggest differentiator, is the way that we build our product.
What obstacles or resistance do you anticipate when introducing technology to other CDFIs or traditional CDFIs?
A lot. I mean, there's so many. I think, recognize that when working in the space that CDFIs do, resources are not the most abundant, and not necessarily capital resources. Sometimes it's capital resources, but a lot of time it's time. And the fear of switching to a new system, even if your current system is really terrible, just the thought of, man, I have to put in 5 hours to save 10 really deters people from switching. And so a big effort for us is, how do we explain the ease of onboarding? How do we explain what the changes are going to happen, what changes are going to happen to their process? So friction is like the way I describe most. There's a lot of friction in the space.
What's been your experience working with TMC Community Capital so far?
Pretty incredible. There's a reason we wrote up a case study on y'all's work, and we shout your names to the heavens and back. I think what I'm most excited about in our working relationship is the ability to like have open communication, and also the level of listening that y'all do for your borrowers and for the people that you work with. And so that to me like feels really value aligned, in that, hey, like we listen to what you're seeing and what others are seeing. You're listening to what the people that you work for are also seeing. So
right. How does Presta contribute to the mission and goals of CDFIs in general?
I think when I think of the space, the goal is to get the most capital out there that fits the needs of traditionally underserved small business owners, entrepreneurs, and a lot of our focus is in that side of the space. I think maybe slight tangent there. It's the second best way outside of home ownership for wealth creation for people. That is like entrepreneurship, and so want to be able to support the work that our lenders are doing. When I think about like what do we do, is in the business term, we lower the fixed cost of lending, which sounds silly, but hey, if we reduce the two hours of someone on your team spending on a loan, that means that those 2 hours can be put to talking to a partner, to talking to another borrower, to like thinking about like strategic vision. And when you tally up those hours across the number of loans that TMC is doing, that other lenders are doing, that's a lot of time that you get to like redistribute to folks that you work with. And so that's been like our biggest thing, is how do we reduce the effort of lending without reducing the quality of the loans or the quality of the borrowers or the quality of the products and service.
Leo, what do you enjoy most about your role here at Presta? Like, what are you most passionate about?
The people. I think like the people that we get to work with, the people that like both externally and internally, and think creating those relationships. I love setting vision. We participated in an accelerator called Techstars about 1.5 years ago now. And one of the talks that I think was really impactful for me was, what is the job of a CEO? And a lot of the talk was a blur, except for like the three job responsibilities, which are you set vision, you find and retain incredible people to execute on that vision, and then get them the resources to do it. And being able to say like, hey, like whatever obstacles are in your way to like being credible, whether it's TMC or whether it's like the folks on our team, let me just remove those and let's keep going. That gets me super excited.
What do you hope to accomplish with your work through Presta?
A lot of things. I think when Peter and I think about, hey, what's the impact that we want to have, is reducing the like credit gap that exists for entrepreneurs, for small business owners. So like in a perfect world, all of a sudden the trillions in credit gap that exist across underserved communities for particularly for entrepreneurship doesn't exist anymore. It's half that, a quarter of that, right? And being able to say like, hey, like I know that business went through and got a loan and now they exist. Like this is silly, but I'm really excited about after this, I'm going to go buy some cookies from a cookie shop that I know one of our lenders funded their storefront. And that to me is so incredible, that they went from a stall in one of the LA farmers markets now having a storefront. And like, I'm going to go eat some cookies and I'm sure they're going to be amazing. And that's the kind of thing that I want to see, is like a ton of those stories across the lenders that we work with.
You don't just partner up with CDFIs, right? The Presta platform can be used. Is it other lenders? Can you share a little bit more about that? Like, do you call them clients, partners?
Yeah, we've always made an effort of not referring to folks as clients. Yeah. I think, and when Peter and I ran the Opportunity Exchange, our quote unquote clients or customers were community partners. I think at Presta, call them lenders or partner lenders or lender partners, depending on how quickly you're talking. Yeah, we work with a full spectrum of what we call community-focused lenders. Has been the best term that we found to sum up the group. Whether you're an RLF, a revolving loan fund that's just starting, public-private partnership through maybe it's like a local economic development department. Whether you're just like someone who realized that there's a problem in the ward in the city that you live in, and you're gonna go tackle that problem by raising funds and lending, which is one of our most recent lenders on the platform is doing in DC. I think that's incredible. And that's the whole gamut. What gets me excited about that is like there's a lot of information cross sharing that doesn't happen easily in this space, because maybe the only time that you get together is once a year at a conference under the 3 or 4 letter acronym that you're understood as. So being able to say, hey, like here's some of the best practices that we've seen. Obviously, we're not lenders, but like we really respect the work of these 3 lenders. And we also know their stats because we have them on the platform. So we know that they're not just talking the talk, they're also walking the walk. Talk to them, see how they're doing it. So,
Right.
yeah.
And do you want to share maybe like one of the coolest projects that you worked on?
There's these folks that are doing community-focused underwriting, community-based underwriting. I don't know if you know them. They're like working with a ton of different partners, and that's how I think. So, spoiler if you don't know, it's TMC. That to me gets me really excited. I think pushing the understanding of how that business is going to succeed to the community members in which that business sits and serves is, I think, really cool. I think it's difficult. I think being able to scale that level of community input is really hard. And but I'm starting to see that pop up. I think one of the lenders that we're working with in DC is doing something similar. And I'm starting to see this trend of, hey, like it shouldn't be, no offense to, or maybe a little offense to traditional financial institutions, it shouldn't be a credit analyst sitting in an office, 1,000 miles away, clicking a bunch of keys and deciding, okay, yes, no, or even worse, some automated AI algorithm saying, yeah, this business is good to fund. No, this one's not. There's a lot more to understand about the folks that are building those businesses. So.
Yeah, and I don't know if I shared this already with you and Peter, but we've already had our first small business client that has paid off their milestone loan and is already
That's so exciting.
into one of our other products. So they were the very first community milestone borrower, and
Amazing.
they just paid off their loan, or they got a loan increase. But yeah, to tell you a little bit about her, she's a cash-based business. We helped her with a small loan, or our partners helped her with a small loan to get into a brick and mortar. This is in San Jose. And I think it's been like 6 months, and she's already like has her financials in order, and came back and applied for an increase. And now, she's graduated. But yes, first community milestone borrower has already, applied for an increase. So happy to, that we can provide that service not only to her, but to our partners that are on the platform. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. We're not the ones doing the work, you are, but.
How does your personal journey and mission align with the work that you do at Presta?
Yeah, I've done a lot of reflection on this because, spoiler, or maybe not spoiler too, I know the ton of small business owners or entrepreneurs that will probably listen know building something is really hard. And so a lot of the times taking the chance to reflect and say, like, why am I doing this? Why do I stay up really late? Or, well, I stay up really, I don't really wake up that early. That's my preferred time of work, but why am I doing this? And when Peter and I decided to build Presta, do another company again together, I took time to reflect, why does this matter? And I found this trend across all the work that I've done, and it's the words increasing access to, and then you fill in the blank. The first company that I worked for was increasing access to democracy. How do we get more people to be able to register to vote, to be able to access their ballots when they're maybe 9 months pregnant and living abroad, or like serving in the military abroad, right? At the Opportunity Exchange is, how do we increase access to like equitable economic development? How do we like increase access to community input in the projects that are being built? And now at Presta, it just felt right because it was increasing access to capital, and capital that fits the needs of all of the people that live here and build here. That is not happening really, or not at the scale that it should. That and the name just sounded too perfect.
Presta, perfect. Who came up with the name?
I did.
You
Let's take
did?
credit for that. Yeah. Peter's an incredibly humble guy. He's fluent in 3 languages. He's obviously, or not obviously, but he speaks fluent English, fluent Mandarin, and fluent French. The Spanish came from me.
Nice. And Peter was all for it.
Yeah.
What inspired the creation of Presta?
Yeah. When Peter and I were exiting our last company, the Opportunity Exchange, a lot of the work that we were doing was increasing access to equity capital. And while that is helpful in things like mixed use building, it becomes a pretty tough form of capital to access for small businesses, right? That implies that there must be some sort of exit opportunity in the end, some sort of liquidity event that doesn't necessarily align with creating wealth for a family or for a neighborhood. And so we got a lot of questions while we were at the Opportunity Exchange on, hey, is there access to debt capital on your platform? Like, do you offer more than just like connections to investors, things like that? And so that kind of gave us the inkling there's something else that's missing here. And we were familiar with CDFIs, we were familiar with some of the other folks in the community-focused lending space, but we're not that familiar as to why there was such a big disconnect. And so in very like us fashion, spent a lot of time just talking to people and asking questions about, hey, why is it so hard to get more capital out? Hey, I know that your goal was this much last year, but you fell short of it. Why was that the case? And a lot of it was the pipes connecting capital to qualified credit demand are really thin and narrow or non-existent. And so we knew that building the infrastructure for folks to do the work that they do best was the right move. We had one of our values is we build tools for economic developers. That was at the Opportunity Exchange, and it's a very similar value here at Presta around like we are not lenders. We will never pretend to be lenders to print like that's not our role. Our role is building you like the best way, so you, like the best tools that you can use, the best way to connect with each other, so that you can do the things that you're really good at. And so it was that. I think like the CDFI space, the community focused lending space was really inspiring to us. We see that it's growing a ton. We see that there's a need for change in the way that people access capital in the US, and wanted to be a part of it.
What's next for Presta?
Continuing to add lenders to the platform. So a lot of what we've been focused on has been, Q2 and Q3 of last year were really, let's make sure people love what we're building. Like, let's not focus about selling, about growing crazy fast. And maybe like our investors don't like hearing that, but I like hearing that. And like, we want to make sure that like product is good and it works for lenders, it works for borrowers, it works for applicants, it works for community partners. Okay, does it? Then let's get it in the hands of more people. And so that's what our biggest focus in 2024 is. Let's get this in the hands of more people. Let's make sure that it fits, whether it's a line of credit product that you're rolling out, whether you want to add a card to the line of credit because you know that like people in this community need that, or you really focus on commercial real estate because you're in a rural area and you need more buildings for your small businesses. Let's make sure now that as we get in more hands, it fits all the use cases. So, yeah.
And your team is growing. It's growing quite a bit, right?
It is. We're 9 people now. We're like, everyone's amazing. I get to see them next week. We do an offsite to kick off the year. We'll get together in person and get to retell how the year went, which is really exciting. Hopefully, we'll add a few more people in the next coming months, which is also really exciting. Continue to grow as a team. I think Peter and I have been very mindful of how do we grow at the right pace. Obviously you get a lot of pressures from grow really quickly, grow really fast when you have outside capital, when you have other folks that are interested in seeing your growth. I think one of the nice reflections towards the end of last year was saying, hey, like, let's grow at a pace that allows our lenders to continue to get more features, for them to increase their impact, and for us to be here for a long time. I think and maybe this is last thought on I'll stop talking after that, but or let you ask some more. But I think in the space of startups, of new companies, of entrepreneurship, there's this idea of grit, right? And that's cool and all, but I think grit often encourages this: I'm going to get things done at no cost, no matter what cost, and it's going to happen by tomorrow, by the next day. And when we were setting our values as a company, we realized grit doesn't embody what we want. We want resiliency. And so we want to get things done, but we want to be around for a long time, right? It doesn't help if all of a sudden we get all the features out to our lenders in record-breaking time, but then we're not around in a year and a half for them to continue to use them. And so that's what I'm most excited about too for this year, is getting product in the hands of more people and increasing the level of resilience, if you will, of something that's going to last for a long time.
And would you say most of your clients or all your clients are in the US, or you're also doing?
We're all in the US for now. Yeah. There's a lot of problems to solve in this space and land we live in before I can even think about the problems to solve elsewhere. Yeah.
Do you want to have a sip of your matcha?
Yeah. I feel like I should have put on a big Presta sticker here for the shot there.
You need Presta mug.
Yeah.
Presta mug?
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere? Yeah.
I don't think I have any. I've put stickers on a lot of things, but not a mug yet.
That's perfect. Would you like some fun?
I do, actually, yeah.
Nice. Sorry, we didn't bring any plates or napkins. No, don't hide it.
I'm not sure what the aesthetic we're going for is.
I'll join you.
Real. I was waiting for the offer because I wasn't sure if are we eating them on camera? Are we waiting? I was like, it was just a prop. They look too nice. They always do though.
No, they're real. So rude of me to ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some dust somewhere.
Little bit of crumbs.
It feels. Oh, I do. I don't know. It feels real.
Yeah.
You can do a outtakes afterwards of just the crumbs falling, or the highlight, or a highlight reel of every single guest eating their first bite highlight reel. I feel like I am pretty biased in that one of my favorite parts is seeing everything food related that it's funded by our partners. I'm like, that food's got to be good. I got to check that out. It's a good intro into what is going to be really popular in a year. All right, let me go check it out now.
Yeah. Or when you help the client and they invite you, Mayra, ven al restaurante, and I'm just okay.
That's what you like about this, is being a celebrity, right?
It's funny. All right, Leo. Would you share a story with us, please? A story that, or an experience that encapsulates the impact of technology in the community lending that you're doing.
Sure. I think I briefly mentioned a little bit of this before, but I'm gonna, after this, go get some cookies from one of the businesses that was funded by one of our lenders. And what I think is incredible about that is that on Wednesday, the application came in. They needed to put down a deposit for their storefront by Friday. And it was less than a 48-hour turnaround from date of first application in to loan funded, which to me is pretty incredible, knowing what their average time to loan was before using tech. And that ability to say okay, now you have a space where it's 24/7 collaboration on this application, where when that person is done baking for the day and go and finish in their stats, that gets pulled over by the lender, and now all of a sudden you can support this opportunity that came about for them. And that's something that'd be really hard with the existing tech or lack of that some of the lenders in this space have. And that to me was just so cool to be wow, from story first shared on a Wednesday to, hey, we're gonna be in a storefront location by the weekend. I'm sure that was an incredible way to sell. There was some great celebration by them, but I'm pretty proud of the fact that that wasn't us. It was our lender, and it's always our lender first in their relationship with the borrower. But being a part of that and being able to say I know that move faster, partially because of us. That's like one of the areas that I'm really excited about. I'm like very tech forward person, as you might imagine. I'm worried about some of the folks in this space that are like, let's introduce AI to decide the way that I was like, that's not it. There's some really smart brains in these organizations. Let's make them not type things 1,000 times over and then see where that goes. That's what we're trying to do.
And what was the turnaround time on that again?
I think it's 47 hours, 46 hours.
47 hours. Okay, we need to get to that.
I think it was a stretch for them too, but it was really cool. I was really happy about that.
We missed you out real fast.
I wish I was there. It was during our offsite, so all of our team was together when you were together, which felt nice. But we've booked Mark mentally for next year.
Okay. Well, it will be in LA next year, so you don't have
even better.
any excuses.
No hate to the Bay, but I love being in Southern California and being close to family. So,
well, we have a little something for you.
Thank you.
So we have our tote bag here.
I love it. Thank you.
Brand new car.
Ooh, it's a brand new truck. How'd you know my size? That's sweet. I'll pull up for the camera. Look at this. Nice. Incredible. Thank you.
What else is in there?
Oh, actually, this is a great shot. Hold on. Well, I love this hat. Look at this. Now we're matching.
Now we're matching.
And I already had hat hair, so.
Now you just need to put the t-shirt on.
And I should have served everything in this. Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. It's nice to meet you in person. Nice to see you again. I love working with y'all. I know the team does too. I know that, and not everyone on the team you've gotten a chance to meet, but know that we sing your praises pretty consistently. And I think I was having, this is now just talking, but you can put it on camera, I don't care. Like just having a one-on-one with one of our engineers, and we're talking about how some of her peers are not that excited about some of the work that they do, like peers that don't work at Presta. And she's like, I think for me, like when I was interviewing out there wasn't like strong mission alignment with a lot of the stuff that I work with. And I think even with us and the work that we do, it's really easy, it would be really easy to not understand the impact that we're having. And so being able to share like, hey, here's some really cool people doing really cool things. Like the people we work with on our team just get so excited about knowing like, hey, like this is the impact that they're having. And like, these are the stories that they get to share. And I'll say like, this is an awesome venue for that. I think one of the things that we wanted to increase is like, there should be more visibility into like this space of like financial services, I guess, like community support, community capital support. There's not enough storytelling, and I'm glad that y'all are doing this. And we hope to also do the same and bolster the work that you're doing in every facet. So.
And you are.
Yeah, I guess so.
You are, 100%.
I always feel like I need to do more. I don't know if anyone here relates, but I'm like, man, I got to do that thing, and that email's haunting me. So.
No, I'm with you on that. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having a cafecito with me and some bread.
I'm going to take the other half of that.
You can have it all. You can take it all to go.
Amazing. Thanks, y'all.
Gracias.
A ti.